We're on the Majesty of the Seas at Port Everglades. So we start off this video on deck number 7. And if you saw in the previous video in the series, we did kind of a tour of the stateroom where we kind of gave a pretty good look at everything. Now, we had just walked into the room on that video and we were just getting settled. So now we've had a chance to kind of get packed, unpacked and everything. And so here's another look at the stateroom later on. So this is what the room looks like after we've settled in. And all of our crap's not in the way. It's still small, but a little bit easier to see. 2 electrical outlets, I'm digging that, and they're easily accessible. 4038. Bathroom, I think we looked at the bathroom earlier. And so we ended up putting one suitcase under the bed and one is in the closet.
Did you get the closet?
I did earlier.
With the suitcase?
Oh. Yeah.
I mean,
it's nicely. It's
a
full size.
More clothes than I should have, and it all fits.
Yep. Plenty of room in the safe too. I got my stuff kind of up there. They did a good job of bringing all the luggage early. I like that. So we're on the Majesty of the Seas. We're in Port Everglades. The date of this video was May the 18th, 2019. As it turns out, just a few weeks before the Trump administration banned all United States passengers from going to Cuba on cruise ships. So as it turns out, we got in just under the wire. I have to say that I completely, absolutely 100% disagree with that policy, and I've actually contacted both of my Florida senators to express my displeasure at that option. So I wanted to get that out there and on the record. That'll be the only thing I have to say really about that. So here we are, deck 11, kind of checking out the ship. My first time using my 4K camcorder, and I'm still kind of getting used to walking around holding a camcorder that is so like blatantly obvious that I'm recording everybody. So for future cruises, I'm going to have to either just really own it, or I'm going to have to walk around with the GoPro 7, which is a little bit more, inconspicuous kind of thing. So I apologize a little bit for the sort of backwards and the left and right motion of the camera. That's me kind of trying to hold it down by my side and not look so obvious that I'm recording, even though I actually am. But middle of the afternoon right here, probably every bit of 2:30, about an hour away from the muster drill. If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to give it a like, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to do that and hit that bell notification so that every time I post a video, you'll know about it. So we finally make our way up on deck and start to get some good footage of Port Everglades. Haven't done the muster drill. That's coming up about probably an hour or so from this point in the video. You probably noticed over in the pool deck area, just quite a few people are just right at it, man. They come on the ship. I don't know if at this point they probably have been able to get into their staterooms, but they're just out there partying and lounging around by the pool as if this was a full day at sea and we'd been doing this for hours, even though they've probably been on the ship for just a couple of hours. So there are always going to be people on the cruise that will just basically live out there by the pool. Hopefully they've got a lot of sunblock on because they've got just the bathing suit on, and they're hitting that bar and just making the most of those drink packages. So it's kind of one of the beauties of a cruise is everybody just does whatever they want, and you have the freedom to do whatever. So this is Port Everglades. Right in front of us is the building that Celebrity uses. The building to the right is what Carnival uses. Kind of around to the left, and you're going to see it later on in the video, there's a whole terminal over there that Princess Cruises uses. So pretty nice spread here. I think Port Everglades can handle about 6 or 7 ships, cruise ships, at one time, and that's probably like their max. I don't know how many times they reach that or not, but it's a pretty good sized port and handles quite a bit of traffic, both cruise ships and cargo ships, tankers, things like that.
On top of that condo building, kind of straight in the center, closest to us. There's a restaurant up there on the top floor, and they have the camera up there on the top of that building.
So now that the ship is no longer able to go to Cuba, I've seen some speculation online about what the cruise industry may do with some of these older ships. You know, like, for instance, Royal Caribbean has this one, the Majesty of the Seas, and another one called the Empress of the Seas. And those were the 2 ships that were going into Cuba just because of their size. They were small enough to fit in there. And now that they're restricted from going to Cuba, and of course that policy could change at any time. So, you know, it's possible that right now, as of the time I'm putting this video together, which is early June 2019, the restriction is in place and just, recently added. But it is possible later on that, a couple months later, 6 months later, all of a sudden it could be lifted. So definitely seems some speculation online about what the cruise industry will do with some of these older ships now that they theoretically can't go into Cuba. And what Royal Caribbean has done so far is they seem to have swapped out Nassau, in the Bahamas for the Cuba or for the Havana port on the itineraries. So now a typical 4-night, which is what this cruise was, where the first day we went to Key West and then the second day we went to Havana, Cuba. Well, we would have gone to Nassau in the Bahamas instead of Cuba. So then you get, okay, we go to Key West, we go to Nassau, and there you have it. It's an older ship. They've obviously run it through dry dock several times, and they keep trying to upgrade it here and there, and make it somewhat relevant. And it's a good ship. It's a nice ship. They make good use of the space. But if your itineraries are limited to just Key West and Nassau and the Bahamas, is that going to be enough to justify holding onto the ship, or just going ahead and selling it off to another cruise line? So it'll be interesting to see how Royal Caribbean handles that going forward. If you've got any thoughts on the subject, let me know in the comments below. I also like to hear what your comments are about the situation with the Cuba ban, banning the cruise ships. Let me know what you think about that. I've already kind of stated my opinion on it, but I'd love to hear what you think on it, so drop some comments below.
Yep, that is the Viking Crown. The plane's taking off from the Fort Lauderdale Airport.
If you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to give it a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to do that and hit that bell notification so that every time I post a video, you'll know about it.
That's where they were.
So I'm not really sure if this is technically deck 13, but when you're on deck 12 and you can go up another level, then I'm going to call it 13. So 13 is always kind of a weird number for cruise ships. It's a superstition that they don't ever really use the number 13, if you ever happen to notice that. So we're getting closer and closer to leaving. There's that Princess cruise ship I mentioned earlier. You see how they kind of dock over there. There's a whole terminal over there with a parking garage and everything. And that bridge that goes across right there, there's a condo tower to the right of the bridge. And up on top of that tower is actually the Fort Lauderdale webcam. So if you're ever checking out those webcams of the different ports, there's actually a Port Everglades webcam that is next to one of the condo buildings as you're going out of port. And then the one on top of that condo tower is the Fort Lauderdale webcam. So there's technically two of them, because they'll take the Fort Lauderdale webcam and they'll pan it around, and sometimes they'll watch one of the Princess Cruises ships going out of port. And then of course you have the Port Everglades webcam. So sometimes you can sort of watch one of those cruise ships going out of port on two different webcams, you know, and it's kind of cool to see it. Thank you very much for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I post a new video.
And straight ahead is the Terminal 1, I think, that Princess Cruises use. I think that's what's over there, straight in front of us. Downtown Fort Lauderdale in the background.